Hello, welcome back to Quirk Analysis 101, the series where I give you a detailed rundown on the quirks in the world of My Hero Academia. In the last video, I discussed the ability that belongs to Mr. Exit Sign, Zoom Zoom Sonic Boom, Tenya Iida, and his gotta go fast quirk, Engine. In today's video, I'll be discussing the quirk that belongs to Mr. Listen to Every Word I Say or So Help Me God himself, Hitoshi Shinso. Also, don't forget to Detroit smash that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Now, without further ado, let's all fall into a trance as I bring you on a journey all about the mind-melting, brain-splitting, pretty convincing quirk that is brainwashing. Brainwashing is an emitter-type quirk which first appeared in chapter 24 of the My Hero manga and episode 15 of the anime. This quirk grants its user the ability to put anyone who verbally responds to something they say in a trance-like state. While in this trance, said person is forced to obey all of the quirk user's commands. Essentially, the user says hi, you say hi, you are now their slave. For this quirk to take effect on a person, it must be willingly activated by the user. So the user can hold conversations without the person they're talking to turning into a mindless zombie every time they respond. Although, this quirk would be amazing for arguments. Getting pissed off at what a person you're arguing with is saying, just brainwash them when they try to respond, and boom, no more arguments. It's every Twitter warrior's dream. However, if you happen to fall victim to this quirk's power, I imagine it would be absolutely terrifying, as while you have no control over your body, you still remain largely aware of what you are doing, making you a prisoner inside yourself, unable to stop yourself from acting to the whims of your captor. Dear Lord, that is horror story material. No wonder everyone thought Shinso was going to become a villain. It's pure evil. And now it's time to talk about the quirk's abilities. You talk, they talk, slavery! Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this quirk really doesn't have much in terms of super moves or versatility. You kinda get what's on the tin. However, while this quirk doesn't offer anything really special in terms of abilities, it does essentially give you access to everyone else's. If you brainwash someone with a flame quirk, then you can command them to use that flame quirk any way you see fit. And the same goes for every other quirk in the series. Bakugo's explosions, Todoroki's fire and ice, Kaminari's electricity, all of these powers can be utilized by the user of brainwashing. The real power of this quirk lies not in the user's ability, but in the abilities of their opponent. However, in saying this, the necessity for others' abilities is entirely dependent on the situation. When a person falls under the influence of brainwashing, they become motionless and they remain this way until the brainwashing effect drops or until they are given a command by the quirk's user. So if it's a one-on-one fight, all the user has to do is brainwash their opponent and boom, instant win. Unless they have shonen protagonist plot armor. Look, I gotta say, this fight was BS. Shinso won fair and square. Hell, even with One For All helping Midoriya should have been disqualified because he got assistance from an external source. I mean, if he's allowed to have help like this, then Shinso should have been allowed to have one of his classmates throw a steel chair in the ring. Now that would have evened the playing field. Watch out! But as I was saying, the user of brainwashing can utilize this paralyzed state of their opponent in a multitude of ways. They could restrain their target, or they could gain a free attack on them. They could even command their target to restrain or attack themselves if needs be. It can also prove to be useful in a situation where a person's quirk is going rampant. If a person was using their quirk to release an endless stream of poisonous gas, as soon as they were brainwashed, they would immediately stop. Now there is currently one named super move associated with this quirk. However, it can only be performed with the help of a support item. This move is called Artificial Vocal Cords Persona Cords. For this move, the user uses a support mask called Artificial Vocal Cords, which modifies the user's vocal tone, allowing them to mimic another person's voice. Now this is horror movie material. But unfortunately, just like every other quirk, brainwashing does come with its fair share of weaknesses. And boy oh boy, does it have a lot of them. Firstly, while the user can control multiple brainwashed people simultaneously, they can only activate this quirk one person at a time. Basically, if the user says something and multiple people respond, they can only control one of the responders. This means that if the user wanted to take control of multiple people, they would have to get a bunch of responses to different things they say. This makes it a difficult quirk to use when facing off off against multiple enemies. Also, if the user uses an electronic device to amplify their voice, this will negate the effects of this quirk entirely, as it converts the naturally produced sound waves into an electric signal. I think Horikoshi just didn't want Shinso running around screaming at people with a megaphone, and that's why he came up with this weakness. Now you may be saying, well, if that's the case, then how do the artificial vocal cords Shinso uses work? Well, smartass, it's because they are not an electronic device. How do they work? I have absolutely no idea. I'm not really sure anyone does, to be honest. It's basically just magic at this stage. There is also the fact that when someone is brainwashed, they can't perform anything that would take complex brain function, such as talking or thinking. So, while you are in control of a person, they cannot relay any information to you from their memory or any real information at all. This also puts a limitation on what I said earlier about controlling people and making them use their quirks. This strategy would be of no use if you took control of someone like Momo Yaoyorozu, whose quirk creation relies entirely on her knowledge of the atomic makeup of whatever she creates. The other disadvantage that comes with brainwashed victims is how easy it is for them to escape from being brainwashed. If a person who has fallen into this quirk's trance gets hit by a strong physical jolt like a jostle to the shoulder or receives pain equal to that sensation, then they will be immediately freed from the quirk's effects. Now in our world, this flaw wouldn't be too bad. However, in the My Hero world, where heroes and villains are constantly being thrown about and punched into space, this is a pretty significant weakness. I mean, if you happen to be fighting multiple opponents at once and they are aware of this flaw, then this quirk's power would be reduced drastically, as all they would have to do is give their partner a nudge and boom, it's as if nothing happened. But the biggest weakness that comes with this quirk is that for it to activate, your target must respond verbally. All someone has to do is not talk back, and you are essentially powerless. This is hands down the biggest flaw that comes with this quirk. If you come up against someone who is aware of your ability, you are at an immediate disadvantage. If you happen to fight a mute, you're fucked. There are so many ways to take advantage of this one stipulation. If you place the user in a soundproof room, no one can hear them, so no one can respond. If you play loud noises so no one can hear the user, then you can't respond to them either. If you damage the user's vocal cords, they won't be able to speak and thus unable to use the quirk. Or, in the most basic of situations, if you just cover the user's mouth, no quirk. Man, there are a lot of weaknesses when it comes to brainwashing. But even with these weaknesses, this quirk does have some great potential. With training, it could be possible for the user to gain the ability to brainwash multiple people simultaneously. This would prove to be majorly beneficial in any group combat. It could also be possible for a non-electronic device to be made that can amplify the user's voice. I mean, hell, it sounds far more realistic than a machine that literally lets you perfectly mimic any voice. The user could also improve the durability of their brainwashed minions, allowing them to suffer more damage but still remaining under the user's control. But the greatest potential this quirk holds is for the user to say the most controversial things. Imagine you're fighting someone and they say, "You know what? I think pineapple belongs on pizza." You're gonna have to respond. Whether you're like, "Hell yeah, pineapple brethren," or "You monster, how could you?" Either way, you're falling under the user's control. It's genius. And I think Shinso should definitely integrate this into his arsenal. Hashtag cancel Shinso, hashtag you a brainwashed bitch. And that's everything you need to know about the quirk brainwashing. Overall, it's a very complicated quirk that definitely does have some major benefits. It very much reminds me of Aizawa's erasure. While not great in a lot of situations, it excels and goes above and beyond in others. It's definitely a quirk that could prove to be very useful in the hands of a hero, and you certainly wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it. But let me know what you think. Would you like to have the brainwashing quirk? And what quirk would you like me to cover in this series next? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra.